Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Good morning and welcome to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, as we bring you the latest news and information from the Greater West Bloomfield area and all throughout Oakland County. Each and every day throughout your work week, we are broadcasting live news and information wherever you consume your programming, whether it's live TV, live radio, on the internet, or a combination all throughout your busy mornings during the work week. Here's all the places you can find us each and every day. Of course, we're always on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15, and for your AT&T subscribers, as AT&T Channel 99 in their community, education, and government television channel guide. Just scroll down to wherever in our four communities you may be, Greater West Bloomfield and West Bloomfield Township, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, or Sylvan Lake, and you will be able to see Civic Center TV as well as WBTV, the West Bloomfield School District channel, both of which we're broadcasting on each and every day. You'll also find us every day broadcasting live online as well on civiccentertv.com, live in high definition. See us in full 1080 on our website every single morning, either on our homepage as you're scrolling through our schedule to mark down those times in your calendar for when you want to watch Civic Center TV programming later on in the day, or on our Watch Live page to watch us on the full screen as well. You can also find us live every morning on other parts of media, such as Facebook online on social media at Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook.com, and the same place on YouTube at Civic Center TV for all of our live videos. That's also where you'll find us on demand as well, right after the show. So right when we're done, you'll be able to find us on our YouTube page as well. Then for those of you that are commuting to work at this time every single morning, want to listen to us at the desk without having another tab open, 89.3 FM in the Greater West Bloomfield area. That's 89.3 Lakes FM. All the places you can find us live every single morning here on the Splash Live, and find us all throughout the afternoons, evenings, and weekends as well. Taking a look at your Friday morning weather, a beautiful day outside today, partly cloudy, high of 81, and then tonight, 63 degrees is your low. Nice temperate evening. Maybe open the windows a little bit as you get your last weekday slumber of the week. And then we head into the weekend. The weekend a little bit cooler, but still moderate temperatures outside, not quite as hot as earlier on in the week. Saturday, a bit of rain as well, high of 74 and a low of 61. Then comes Sunday, a little bit back to some of the weather we've had this week. Partly cloudy, mostly sunny on Sunday with 78 degree high and a low of 59. Now let's take a look at all the great news around the Greater West Bloomfield area today with Dave Scott.
Well, good morning, Tyler, and thank you very much. Good to be with you this morning, and thank you for watching our new version of the Splash Live. I hope you enjoy it. We're kind of figuring it out as we go here, so thank you very much for being with us. Around our Greater West Bloomfield, Oakland County, and Michigan areas today, a lot of attention and talk in the Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake area, especially in Cass Lake, as police step up enforcement after what was a little bit of a rowdy 4th of July weekend. Sergeant Patrick O'Rourke of the West Bloomfield Police Department, former officer who died in the line of duty. There'll be a memorial blood drive coming up in September. We'll have more on that. An amazing photograph we have for you in the show today. An amazing photograph. It was one of those cloud formations that miraculously happened. I'll just leave it at that. We've got video, or we at least have stills for you today on the show. Hey, great news. Oakland County Fair is kicking off, I think, right about now, certainly today here in the area, and a lot of fun going on in Oakland County at the big Oakland County Fair. Michigan municipalities are working to spend all of their available COVID relief funds. It's crazy that is a bit of a challenge, but it is. And we're going to talk to a guest this morning who's going to give us some more insight into that. Story that hits near and dear for me as a pilot here in Oakland County. Big renovation has gone on at the Oakland County Pontiac Airport. And yet when people think of airports around here, they primarily think of Metro, but the Pontiac Airport in Oakland County, right off M59, is one of the busiest airports in the state. I think it's the second busiest, and they've done a major improvement there. We've got video, and we'll bring you up to date on that story in greater detail on the program today. Music is coming back to West Bloomfield. The Marshbank Music Series is always a great series, and we've got the full rundown, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that opportunity for you to get out in the community and to see a really fantastic concert at a venue that is kind of like a small Meadowbrook or a small Pine Knob right in West Bloomfield out at Marshbank Park. And West Bloomfield High School graduate Samaj Morgan, who now is playing for the University of Michigan, or at least will be when they get back on the turf of the big house this fall. It looks very likely that Samaj Morgan, as a freshman, will actually play in that first game at the University of Michigan this year. We're getting a lot of really good feedback on how his progress is going as the University of Michigan football team builds up for what should be a great year. And anytime that you get a graduating freshman, especially from one of our communities, playing in what could be the very first game of the season, it's really remarkable. So we'll have more on that amazing wide receiver for the West Bloomfield Lakers and now the University of Michigan football team, Samaj Morgan, and the great progress he's making. And Tyler Kieft, those are the stories we're keeping an eye on today. Anything else breaks through in the show, of course, we will bring it to you. So we're going to take a quick break. Tyler and I will be back, and we'll start diving into all this as the Splash Live continues right after this short break.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
I'm Steve Eiserman of the Detroit Red Wings, and I think every child in Michigan deserves a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. Can we build a state where Children Trust Michigan isn't just a name, but something our kids believe? Please support Children Trust Michigan as the voice for children and families by visiting the website to learn more.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Well, good morning and welcome back to the Splash Live. Dave Scott and Tyler Kieft are both here together now, right here on the Splash Live. And Tyler, good morning. Thank you very much for your hard efforts in putting this whole new show together. And really exciting that we got our whole technical crew working. I mean, without the technical crew that can make the adjustments, like I'm there right now. Now Tyler and I are there, and then we got other slides and things. None of this happens. And, let's be honest, this is community television, and these guys do a really good job making it look like it's CNN. Are you kidding? Look at that screen right now, Tyler. Is that the most amazing thing ever that you've seen on our channel?
It's fantastic, Dave, seeing the way that this looks. This isn't your typical or really stereotypical community television station where it's a few slides shifting throughout the day with some elevator music. We're taking it to the nth degree to go as far as we can to bring as great of programming as possible to the four communities and really now the Oakland County area.
We really are. We're doing everything we can to make this as big time as possible. You mentioned that like a lot of community television is that fig plant in the background and the black backdrop and the open studio. So, we've come a long way, baby. So keep watching the show. Know that this new show, the Splash Live, is an hour-and-a-half show. We're still mucking around getting it all ramped up. We're kind of building it as we go here over the next couple of days. Hour-and-a-half program that'll repeat throughout the day, so you'll be able to watch live local television, or at least semi-live local television throughout the morning and into the early afternoon as we get all this thing assembled and put together. And lots of interesting guests, lots of stories, timely information. And we hope that you enjoy watching what we're putting together. So, Tyler, one of the saddest stories really in our community, and when I say our community, West Bloomfield and the greater West Bloomfield area, was the passing of Sergeant Patrick O'Rourke of the West Bloomfield Police Department several years ago on duty. And I had the opportunity to be at a memorial that they had for him several years ago with one of our reporters at the time, Emmy Lucas. And we were out, I think we've got video of this, by the way, and we were out on US 23 North right there as they dedicated, there's the sign and the dedication. They dedicated that stretch of highway on US 23 North where his family grew up and where I believe his parents still live, right there on US 23, and dedicated that. And that was a very, very moving experience, Tyler. And there's Emmy talking to Chief Patton back in that report.
Yeah, Sergeant O'Rourke killed in the line of duty back in 2012, responding to an incident at a home in West Bloomfield Township. And that dedication, as you said, old US 23 in Livingston County, that was dedicated just about a year later in 2013. And this community continues to recognize the dedicated service of Sergeant Patrick O'Rourke in the years since, in a number of different community events and charitable outings, such as this blood drive. They're doing this. It's going to be September 6th. That's a Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the new location of West Bloomfield Parks Connect, which will be on 14 Mile Road in West Bloomfield. A couple ways you can sign up. redcrossblood.org, and you search for your local community, and that will give you information on blood drives coming up. You find the September 6th blood drive at WB Parks Connect, and you can sign up that way, or you can sign up over the telephone, 1-800-RED-CROSS. That's 1-800-733-2767. So many ways you can register, get in contact with the police department, with West Bloomfield Parks, with the American Red Cross, get involved, and give a thank you posthumously to the great Sergeant Patrick O'Rourke, who unfortunately lost his life in the line of duty back in 2012.
Well, and it's good that something terrible like that turns into something good with a Red Cross blood drive. So I don't know if we have that image or not, Calvin, but we do have a flyer that we might be able to put up on the screen with all of the information. And of course, all you need to do if you're not sure about, there we go, about any of the details of this event going on Wednesday, September 6th, all you really need to do is call the West Bloomfield Police Department, and there'll be more information. But West Bloomfield Parks Connect is the location on 14 Mile Road, and a great blood drive and a great effort put together by the West Bloomfield Parks, West Bloomfield Police Department, and others. And we encourage you to get out and be there on September 6th. Of course, we'll have a lot more coverage of this as we get closer. So, Tyler, one of the craziest things that I've ever seen, and you ever, like, you're sitting around and maybe over the 4th of July, maybe you were out on the lake and having a nice, pleasurable day, and you look up in the sky and there's a cloud and you go, hey, that cloud kind of, looks like a dog or a cat or whatever. Let's take a look at this picture right here, because this is the most amazing. What, are you kidding me? Look at that. There is a cloud that that's the state of Michigan with the sun behind it. I don't think that was photoshopped. Is that the most amazing thing you've ever seen?
That's pretty dead on accurate too, Dave. That looks exactly like the mitten. It's got its own little bits of the imperfections of the mitten that we see. That left hand we always put up to see to tell people where you're at from the state of Michigan. And perhaps this was, I believe, in Georgia that this photo was taken. Perhaps it's a mitten being put up to catch some of those Georgia peaches and bring them on back to Michigan, as so many people love to do this summer.
Well, actually, let's give the photo credit. It was Sarah Edwards who took that picture in Michigan. And, listen, I think next time you got Dave Lorenz of Travel Michigan on, maybe this is a new marketing strategy that they have to figure out a way to configure these clouds in other parts of the country to get people to think, oh, man, wouldn't it be nice to be in Michigan right now? Obviously not, but how hilarious. And what are the odds of that? I mean, even Saginaw Bay with the sun shining through there, and no Upper Peninsula, but an amazing cloud formation. And we wanted to show that to you. If you want, you can search for that on Facebook and grab a copy of that picture for yourself. So absolutely amazing. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in a minute. Certainly, it's been making big news, and it's no big secret, Tyler, that people like to go to Cass Lake on the weekend, or really almost any day during the summer, but especially during the holidays. And certainly for an awful long time, people have been going to the beaches, having fun. And, then the more recent decades, boaters like to get out on the lake, tie their boats together and have a big party right in the water. And in Cass Lake, there's a sandbar that's not too far from the shore on the east side of Cass Lake, right over by Cass Lake Road. And that has kind of been a gathering spot. And I walked that area, and the homeowners who live right there, they obviously don't like it. But it's become a little bit more of an issue in recent years. And certainly over the 4th of July, there were a number of first responders that needed to respond. And I would say it's gone to the next level. Channel 4 did a story on it. Rob Kalman, the mayor of Keego Harbor, was featured in that. We're going to come back. We'll take a look at Channel 4's coverage, talk a little bit about that. And then Rob will join us. We'll have a conversation about what's going on in Cass Lake when we return. Good morning. You're watching The Splash Live. I'm Dave Scott. He's Tyler Kieft, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
Like what you see? Beautiful works of art, masterworks of metal, and accomplishments of artistry will be on display near you. All kinds of artists from all walks of life come together to celebrate their skill and appreciate their work's beauty. Hot Works presents the 2023 Orchard Lake Fine Art Show. Stop by July 29th and 30th between 2 and 10 p.m. between Powers and Daly off of Orchard Lake Road.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Splash Live. Dave Scott, Tyler Kieft. Thank you very much for joining us here today on the program. The Splash Live, an all-new version of this program, extended, longer, bigger, better. Tyler's here. I'm here. Jared is behind the scenes. We got Kalman behind the scenes, Diane behind the scenes, Anthony behind the scenes. It takes a whole family to put this show together. And Tyler, no big surprise that activities out on Cass Lake have gotten to the point where it's starting to be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And this has been a growing problem over a number of years, Dave, as residents in Keego Harbor have flocked out to Cass Lake for recreation, to enjoy the water, to enjoy the limited sunshine we have and lake time we have in Michigan each and every year. But with visitors coming in, with more people now living in Keego Harbor and wanting to have a fun time on the water, this has become a growing problem. Some bad actors ruining the fun for a lot of people and causing a need for greater patrol to make sure that people have a good time on Cass Lake, but do so safely and do so respectfully.
Channel 4 was out with their cameras and video crews over the 4th of July weekend to get an update on the story, talk to our mayor of Keego Harbor. Let's watch a clip from Channel 4 here in their coverage of this story.
You know, Keego has a tremendous amount of cast lakefront as its backyard. And in the past, there have been some issues here, especially over holidays, with people coming here and not behaving the way they should. Keego Harbor Mayor Rob Kalman explains what the issues have been in the past and really what they're doing now. Take a listen.
We love it when people come, and they come from the beaches, they'll go to dinner afterwards. They have a great family experience on their boat, on their pontoon. It's just when people get a little disrespectful. If you think about it, nobody's allowed to drive a car on Cass Lake Road if they're drunk. We're trying to make sure that when people are on the lake, they're being responsible, and there's no tragedies that take place in Cass Lake where, unfortunately, you hear about those from time to time.
Back here live. So what did Keego do? Essentially, it has partnered with the Oakland County Marine Division through a lot of hard work over the last year. They have a whole plan in place for specifically July 4th and how to keep the vibe out here wonderful for kids, wonderful for families. And that means stepped up enforcement. Now, does that mean a bunch of people out here getting tickets? That's not what it means. It means more about education. If you get pulled over by one of these deputies out here on the lake, their goal isn't to write you a ticket. Their goal is to figure out what's going on the boat and to give you some advice on how to act better. And so far, it is working. This could not be more zen out here on this lake. And if you've ever been out here on Cass during a holiday, you know that it's not typically zen. It is now. And the mayor told me, really, it's about a shift in culture of what is allowed out here and what people who live here are willing to put up with. Karen, Kimberly, we're live in Keego. Back to you.
Making good points. Obviously, follow the rules and show some respect, obviously, to that neighborhood because they're so lovely to be sharing their lake with all of us. All right. Thank you, Mara. We appreciate it.
All right, the Mara McDonald story there. And one of the people featured in that, the key person featured in that is the mayor of Keego Harbor. He joins me now, Rob Kalman from Keego Harbor, and we'll get him up here and connected here. Rob, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So Mara did a great job on that story. Thank you. I don't know that I can hear Rob. Are you there, Rob?
Sure. You should be able to hear me.
Okay. They're very good. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. So Mara said it was kind of a zen situation there. Her report was pretty early. That was a live hit that she did on the front side. Would you call it zen, or did it turn into something a little bit less zen-like over the 4th of July?
Well, we have, David, you know, it's the largest lake in Oakland County. It's the deepest, it's the busiest. And she was out the day before. It was great. There were families out, people having a great time. The next day, of course, as she mentioned, we partnered with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and the Marine Patrol Division. And there were a lot of boats from the Sheriff's Department that were out on the lake that day. There were a lot of deputies out. Our Keego Harbor Police Department was out and helping in the neighborhoods. For the most part, it was better than last year. Last year, we had an army, if you will, invade Keego Harbor coming in for a party. Better, it was still a little challenging. Unfortunately, there were quite a few medical emergencies where, you know, some of the teens enjoying themselves. And by the way, I just want to make sure I emphasize, we want people to come to Keego Harbor and have a good time. We want them to enjoy the lake. We want people to come out and enjoy our restaurants. Just do so respectfully and do so responsibly and be safe. And like it's in the article, we're not looking to ticket people. We just want to make sure people are safe and respectful. You know, the medical emergencies at one point, you probably interviewed the West Bloomfield Fire Department. There were a number of underage kids drinking that unfortunately didn't know how to handle their alcohol and had to be escorted in an ambulance to the local hospitals. At least close to a dozen of them, some worse than others. I think Waterford Regional was called in the backup West Bloomfield Fire because their ambulances were all taken up with people being taken off the lake. But all in all, you know, from talking to the residents who had to experience 2022 and now they experience 2023, it was much better. You know, it was zen-like the day before. It was a great experience. And it's also a learning experience for us because we learn what we need to do for next year to make it even better for everybody.
Well, Rob, I mean, this is a great thing that we have the place that everyone wants to be. Cass Lake, it is one of the places to hang out in all of Metro Detroit. And if you're not going to go up north and you want to go to a local lake, Cass Lake is a great spot to go. We've got a great now improved park on the lake, which allows a lot more boaters to get on the water. Listen, this is nothing new, and I think Kalman can put up a picture from the 1940s of Cass Lake on the 4th of July weekend. Calvin, let's see if we just put that up there for just a minute. We'll get to that in just a second. But I mean, this has been the go-to spot. So it's a little bit of a balancing act in your messaging. We want people to certainly behave themselves, but we want people to come to Keego and Cass Lake and have a good time too. So is that a tough tightrope for you to walk on?
Well, well, I'm reminded by people, Keego Harbor has a very long shoreline, if you will, on Cass Lake, where there's a lot of nice homes that have been developed since 1940 when the picture comes up. We've had issues of people trespassing in backyards, people knocking on people's doors. Hey, can I use your bathroom? Or worse, not knocking, just walking into somebody's house and using their bathroom. It's hard to believe, but it's true. And just the level of disrespect got out of hand. And so, yeah, you're right. It's a public beach, it's a public lake, but we want to make sure that our residents are protected at the same time. I mean, that's the gist of it. So I have a picture. I wish I had with me. There was a drone that was flown up by a resident, another one by the sheriff's department. You can actually see how many boats and people that were on the lake. It was pretty astounding on the 4th of July.
Well, maybe you can send that to us and we'll put it on the air tomorrow. And at any time, Calvin, that you have that classic picture from a long time ago, if we can show that, we will. But, no question about it. And it is 4th of July the exception. And what happened over the 4th of July, the exception is Cass Lake just kind of developing into the place where you go to and get out on the water and get a little crazy any weekend of the summer.
It's always busy because, you have Dodge Park across on Cass Lake. You have two private marinas that are launching boats, and there's your picture. That's great. Every weekend we have activity. It just happened to be, somebody, I guess you call them an influencer, and they had a party which was advertised, and it brought in a lot of people, specifically on the 4th of July. It's like it's a public lake. We handle it.
All right. Well, good job. So bottom line, for those of you that may be heading out to Cass Lake in the future, I'm sure police will be there. Keego Harbor Police will be there. Oakland County Sheriffs will be there. And, have a good time, but behave yourselves for goodness sakes. And we shouldn't have to have teenagers going on to the hospital. And that picture that we had there, we put it back up on the screen. I mean, that's classic. And Rob, that really gets to the point of the whole issue here. And that is Keego Harbor is a great place to be. We've got, all kinds of fine establishments and restaurants and good fun. And as you can see, it's been that way for decades. That's the exciting good news. And, Keego Harbor in the Lakes area continues to be a place that people want to hang out and enjoy themselves. And that's got to be great for the community.
It is. And we're trying to build upon that. I think you and I talked before about the work we've done in the Cass Lake Road corridor area, where we're re-imaging, if you will, reimagining how we want Keego Harbor to look over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Changing ordinances to allow developers to come in and you can go from an old 1-story building to a 3-story to allow a 2nd story for a restaurant if they want to add additional seating. I'm looking for, we've been working with getting grants to help our city. We're very fortunate. We completely separate than Cass Lake. We were awarded a $500,000 grant to fix some infrastructure, which in all the years I've been in council, we've never gotten that for a specific ask. It's the Willow Beach Street Bridge, car bridge. Another $100,000 we're going to get from the state to help manage public safety along Cass Lake and the water. And I am looking to build upon, as I said, the Cass Lake Road corridor re-imaging with a grant that I'm close to getting for Orchard Lake Road and the corridor there. So we can have a full picture for a developer when they want to invest in developing Keego Harbor and see an integrated plan.
Do you see that Cass Lake corridor, Rob, becoming, and in its own appropriate scale, but becoming something akin to Orchard Lake Road in West Bloomfield, south of Maple, where you make some improvements to the road, and that encourages businesses to develop along the way? I mean, certainly maybe to a different level, but you're talking about something like that changes the look of that thoroughfare and makes it more of a kind of a place that restaurants and other businesses would want to develop in.
Right. Yeah. I've been talking to regional planners and developers and the like. The big regional malls aren't really the go-to that they used to be. People are now, of course, with COVID, they're working from home a lot more, and there's a desire to have a place you can walk to from your house for a good meal, to go to a coffee shop, to go to even a small retail store. And the village feel, if you will, is what we're aiming for, where we can help Keego Harbor become more of a destination. And the retail and the marketing studies that we've done show that people are willing to drive quite extensively to Keego Harbor to enjoy what we have, as I think is our greatest asset, the lakes. We're smack dab right in the middle of Cass Lake and Sylvan Lake. So West Bloomfield has a long Orchard Lake Road corridor, and like the Birmingham is downtown Woodward area. We're going to work with our strength, which is being a lake community, or have people who can go boating and kayaking and paddleboarding, and then get off the lake and all of a sudden go to Jaybird for a great meal, or B1 or Chino's, and then build an environment where a developer can come in and say, you know what, this makes sense. And we have documentation and data which can show a developer, hey, the buying power of people that live within a 10, 15-minute drive of Keego Harbor rivals any of the other large communities in Oakland County. People might not think it because, Keego has been known as, at times, like a little suburb of Pontiac. Maybe some people don't like to say it, a little stepchild of West Bloomfield, but there are some real positive strengths as to our location. And, the roads are being improved. And a little pain this summer when Orchard Lake Road is getting ripped up and repaved, but they'll make travel here even easier.
Well, you take a look at some of the communities that, decades ago were their own downtowns that weren't suburban Detroit. They were a place that you would go to. And now you take a look at the Milfords and the Northvilles and the Rochesters, and these communities have really done a good job to evolve and embrace everything that you're talking about. So really good to see that progress is happening in Keego. Thank you for your comments on the Cass Lake situation. And real quickly before we go, road construction project in Orchard Lake Road. It got delayed a couple of days. It's going to begin on Monday. And just real quick, maybe a nod to the businesses along Orchard Lake Road. And, they always have those signs up there that say you're going to be able to get to the businesses. But, we want to go to the Lodge or one of the Dairy Queen or something else along that stretch. I assume we're going to be able to make it in there.
Yeah, the businesses are all open. Their signs posted, businesses open. The Early Bird Cafe, which is a local favorite, not just for Keego Harbor, but people from all over the greater West Bloomfield area come. Sunday morning after people might be at church, there's a line around the corner. So I'd hope that people would continue to come and frequent our restaurants, El Camino and so on. It's short-term pain. We're talking July and August are going to be the worst of it, and then we'll have the major shutdown because commerce is closed for about a 35-day period. And I think Orchard Lake near Rycroft and Commerce area is going to be one way for about 35 days or so. But once that's done, we're going to have infrastructure improvements. The drainage situation is going to be better. There's a big poll for the residents and viewers who are watching right now. If they go to Early Bird, there's a pole right in the middle of the parking lot. And it's just, you pull in, you're zooming away, and the road commission is going to get rid of that. And they're going to make it an easy access point. The ingress and egress is going to be improved, And the drainage situation where it would pond up after a big rainstorm in front of that area is going to be fixed. And we're also going to have a couple other pipes installed. So when we do some local infrastructure improvements, we can tap into the pipe for a drainage fix. So I mean, I'm a big proponent of regional cooperation. So the road commission, they've tried. Everybody complains, "Oh, this road's horrible," and all of a sudden now we're going to have a fix. And they're like, "Oh my God, I can't get anywhere." But for the short term, it's going to turn into a really nice fix with smooth roads. And so, yeah, thanks for bringing it up and giving a little plug to some of our restaurants. I'm sure they appreciate it.
Rob Kalman, the mayor of Keego Harbor, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for the fine work you're doing. Keego Harbor, a gem, getting better and brighter each and every day. We appreciate your time with us and the great relationship that we have with you and Keego Harbor. Thank you, Rob, for being with us.
Thanks for having me. All right, bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Rob Kalman, Mayor of Keego Harbor. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Splash Live. I'm Dave Scott. Tyler Kieft is here, and we'll be right back.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Hello, nose. My nose knows is when somebody uses the bathroom. Mom, Polly didn't flush. Ooh, I smell cookies. I smell an A+. How could my nose be running when it stays on my face?
Our noses know if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dave Scott. It is our live daily news and talk show all about everything Greater West Bloomfield and the Oakland County area. You can always join us on local community television, on cable TV, online, civiccentertv.com, as well as our Facebook and our YouTube pages. And join us on the radio too, live every morning at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday for our hour-and-a-half long program. And find us all throughout the afternoons and evenings for replays and on demand anytime, civiccentertv.com. One of the things that has been at the forefront of planning for our local communities has been how to use all this influx of money coming from the federal government and even from the state or the county to put forth projects in local communities and efforts and initiatives for the future, using what is called American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds from the federal government. Some communities have already put that to use. In West Bloomfield, they've used some of those funds for public safety. For example, some new apparatus for the West Bloomfield fire department. That's part of what West Bloomfield's used their ARPA funds for. They've also used them for some in partnership with Oakland County for water and sewer improvements. And Keego Harbor, you've seen that in places like Baxter Morgan and Rose Sorter Parks in their gazebos and other facilities with improvements. But some communities really struggling to decide what we're going to use those funds for, and when we make those decisions, how to make that happen before these funds run out. Joining us now to talk about those struggles and how communities are grappling with this influx of funding from the federal government is Dr. Michael Greiner, Assistant Professor of Management at Oakland University's School of Business Administration. Dr. Greiner, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's great to be here, Tyler. It's great to see you and Dave working together this morning.
Yeah, great to have you on. First time we've had you on this new version of the Splash Live. If you've been with us for a while watching at home, Dr. Greiner always been on with me every Friday on the MegaCast for the last couple of years, and glad to have you on to talk about this because you have an interesting perspective on this. Having worked for a number of years in municipal government, this is a unique situation for these municipalities, getting this influx of cash coming from the federal government. They only have a certain amount of time to use it on and only can use it on a certain subset of projects.
Yeah, this is kind of a unique problem to have. And it's something that, frankly, most municipal government officials would love to have this problem. You know, usually we're dealing with the problem of having too little money rather than too much money. You know, when this was originally passed by the federal government, basically the concern was that as a result of the COVID recession, that there'd be this drop in revenues coming into local governments. And so there would be this gap that would last for a certain amount of time. And they didn't know how long this amount of time would last. So they kind of left a large amount of funds available there to cover this gap. Well, as we know, things bounced back from the COVID recession much faster than I think anybody expected. So as a result, they've got good revenues coming in just based upon their typical tax revenues and licensing fees and that type of thing. But at the same time, they still have these excess funds left over from this ARPA grant. Now, you have to remember also, these ARPA funds are a one-time infusion of funds. So the communities, even though there are they are limited in the types of things that they can spend their money on, they're further limited by the fact that they don't want to commit themselves to having to spend funds into the future that they don't have coming in anymore. So, for example, they don't want to say add a bunch of police officers, which they could afford this year because of these funds being there, but then that will obligate them to make these payments to these police officers going into the future. So that at the same time, they have to kind of balance this concern over the fact that, number one, they have all these funds, which is great, but number two, they don't want to kind of obligate themselves to some kind of cost that's going to go into the future when they won't necessarily have those funds coming in.
And that's where that balance comes into play, because in some of these cases, this money can go towards certain initiatives in your community that may be of dire need right now, or something that these communities have wanted to put in place to help residents with a number of different issues for a number of years. But at the same time, at what point do you then rip the carpet out from under them with this funding and go back to this sense of normality? And so from a municipal government standpoint, in your experience as you and other leaders and other workers in that particular municipality, whether it's a city or a township or a village, how do you go about balancing the immediate needs of the community with the future financial situation of that particular municipality?
Yeah, that's always a big challenge. And I can tell you, just from a political standpoint, too, it's very difficult for local leaders to kind of balance this, because on the one hand, you do have these demands on them. Hey, spend this money now. We've got all these funds. We've got all these needs. And there are always way more needs than you have money for. You know, even now, there are more needs than they have money for, even when they have the surplus. As a result of that, there's this urge for them to kind of spend the money, with many of them thinking, hey, you know, I might not be in office once the chickens come home to roost, and we have to continue paying this when we don't have the funds available. So it's a real challenge to kind of make sure that they're responsible. Fortunately, most local leaders are very responsible and take very seriously the responsibility that they're given by the taxpayers to make sure that the funds are spent wisely. So one thing that they will probably focus in on a lot would be capital expenditures, things like buildings that need to be done, and especially where you're talking about like repairs and that type of thing, that where you might have deferred maintenance for years when you didn't have the funds for it. You know, new construction can be financed quite cheaply by municipal government, because they can issue municipal bonds, which in Wall Street they love to buy, and because of the fact that they're tax-free, they can get a very, very low interest rate on them relative to other kinds of borrowing. So financing new municipal projects tends to be very cheap, but things like repairs to those things, repairs to roads, that type of thing, they might not be the types of things that you can essentially financed over long periods of time. And so as a result, with this big infusion of money, that might appear to be an opportunity to do that there. Now, the problem that they're running into as they're trying to do that, though, is that there's kind of built up this whole infrastructure of suppliers and contractors who are able to do the kind of work that they need. Like, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, can you repair these roads?" Even though I worked in municipal government, I wouldn't know how to do it. I'm not trained how to do it. And so you have these people who are experts in being able to repair these roads or to be able to repair sewer lines and that type of thing. And and there are only a limited number of those people. And so as a result of that, now what we're seeing is that there's a shortage of people who are able to do the kind of projects then that municipal governments want to engage in. And that's been part of the holdup here.
And like everything else, it seems lately, inflation also playing a big role in this. The supply chain, you already sort of mentioned that, also playing a big role in that. Many municipal leaders are struggling with, they had dedicated these funds, or they had proposed to dedicate these funds they're getting through the American Rescue Plan Act to go toward this project or that project or these projects. And now they're getting to the point where they're ready to put those in motion. They've got contractors lined up. They're negotiating contracts with them, and costs of supplies have gone up due to scarcity, or cost of labor has gone up. And now they got to make those adjustments. So when you get to that point, and given where we're at in the economy right now, would you imagine that maybe being a bit of a relief going forward for these municipalities before these funds run out? Or would you imagine that on the other side of that, it's more likely they're going to have to go back to the drawing board in some sense and decide which parts of these projects are going to happen, which other ones are unfortunately going to fall through?
Yeah, I do think, unfortunately, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board on a lot of this because the costs are just going to be higher. I remember back when I worked in municipal government, China was actually still building their Three Gorges Dam, which was one of the largest government projects in the world, one of the largest infrastructure projects in the world. And you might think, well, what does China building a dam have to do with us over here in Michigan? Well, as it turns out, they were using so much concrete for it that there was actually a global shortage of concrete that then drove up the prices here in Michigan and made it harder for us to build roads. So as a result of that, we had to kind of prioritize certain projects over others. Now, the bigger issue that we're dealing with, though, isn't so much the supplies, although there is a little bit of that, as you point out, but it's the limitations on the labor. Again, you have people who are skilled in being able to do these things. If you just went to many workers out there and said, "Hey, we want to clean up this park," anybody would be able to do that. On the other hand, though, if you go to them and say, "Hey, we want to dig up this road and we want to repair the sewer lines that are underneath it, and the water lines need to, at the wastewater treatment plant are all old and need to be replaced." If you come to them and say that type of thing, well, suddenly you need to have people who are expert in being able to do that, and it takes time to train them. And the concern is, by the time these people are trained, the money will have already run out. So there is this competition then for these to access these different suppliers. And what it's doing is driving up the cost of them, which then makes it so obviously the funds are going to go shorter distances. I mean, it's really, as you point out, very similar to the same situation that we saw that kind of started inflation back as we came roaring out of that COVID recession in the first place.
Yeah, cost of supplies, cost of labor, not only affecting municipalities, but projects for homeowners and for car suppliers and so on all throughout the country. Dr. Greiner, thank you as always for your insight and for giving us also a look into the municipal government side of this, because it's an issue that's going to be affecting a wide range of communities in our local area. Appreciate your time.
Great to be here.
Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University School of Business Administration. More information on Oakland University programs at oakland.edu. We'll take a quick break. More news and information from around Greater West Bloomfield and across Oakland County coming up next. You're watching and listening to The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine. To keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kitchen now.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
And now, back to the Splash, live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show, also covering topics all across Oakland County. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dave Scott. We bring Dave back in now as we got plenty more to go on throughout the Oakland County community and the Greater West Bloomfield. There's so much going on. It's a busy Friday, and we only got a certain amount of time on the show to go over all of it.
Yeah, no, we are busy. But the one thing I got to work on, I got to have my smile always ready, because I never know when we're going to hit the button and come back on here. So if I'm sitting there like, then, that's just normal Dave. So good morning, Tyler. Good morning to all of you watching. So Tyler, you already know that I'm a major aviation enthusiast as a pilot, and it's kind of what I do when I'm not here. So listen, the Pontiac Oakland Airport is a major resource. I know that. I fly in and out of there every day. It is a great resource. Let me just read this from their website. The airport is ranked as the world's 12th busiest general aviation airport. So you've got, the big airports like Metro, but this is the kind of airport that all the guys like me fly into, but more importantly, the big corporate jets and a lot of the transport of automotive supplies and all kinds of things coming through the community come in through that airport. I can tell you, I've landed at Metro, I've landed at Oakland Pontiac, and it can be as busy at Oakland Pontiac, if not busier sometimes there than it is down the road at Metro. But is it the 12th busiest general aviation airport with an average of 120,000 takeoffs and landings annually, more than 150 corporations based there, many with several aircraft. Over 554 aircraft are based at the airport, and there's a lot of other ones that fly through there. The value of those airplanes alone, over $200,000. And the video that we're seeing here is the update to the runways. And I can tell you from landing on them, it's so much better. But you've got to have all that infrastructure. And, and Brooks, whether you liked him or didn't like him politically, the former county executive before Dave Coulter, he really believed in this airport, invested in this airport. It has been a major great benefit to the business environment in Oakland County. And just seeing those improvements right there is really exciting, not just for, guys like me who like to fly, but for everybody, Tyler. It has a huge economic impact. I can tell you real quickly, the automotive industry, especially right now, they're doing all the last minute parts, and there are planes flying in there every day, from Mexico and other places in the country and around the world, loaded with parts that need to get built into cars tomorrow. And if they don't have those parts, then the auto factories stop. And that is a terrible situation. So great, exciting things going on at Pontiac Airport. Meanwhile, exciting things going on right here in West Bloomfield, too, with the Marsh Bank Concert Series. And if you've not been out, I know you've been to those concerts. They got the food trucks. They got music. It's a lot of fun. It kicks off on the 12th of July, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. I don't know if you know any of these bands, but on the 12th, it's going to be Collision 6th. And it says favorites of the 60s through today. A lot of other great groups here. And all the way down to August 2nd, Kathmandu. You can only imagine that's going to be a Bob Seger tribute band. And how much fun. Don't you love getting out to Marsh Bank?
It's a great place to go see a concert, Dave. You got that big hill there. There's plenty of seating area. There's some fun activities for the kids on the playground. Of course, they bring in great musical acts every year for people of all different musical tastes as well. And of course, also have a series specifically for kids and families too.
So it's really good to be on the air with you here today, Tyler, together. I'm really glad this whole new format is hopefully going to work out great for us and for our viewers. The other place that you and I get a chance to spend time together on the air is over at the press box at West Bloomfield High School. And we have seen some amazing football players come through our program. We clearly have one of the best programs of the state, keep sending players to the top schools in our state of Michigan and all across the country. And one of the most recent, probably our biggest celebrity out of the team from last year is our wide receiver, Samaj Morgan, who I know you would have rather seen go to Michigan State, but he's going to be in Ann Arbor this fall. And here's the word that we're getting. He and another freshman, Frederick Moore, who is also a wide receiver. So they got two freshman wide receivers. Both of them 3-star recruits from the class of 2023. Head coach Jim Harbaugh has been impressed with both of them. Wide receiver coach and former West Bloomfield head coach Ron Bellamy had high praises for Frederick and Samaj in spring practices and games. They're understanding the playbook schemes and others too. Fans should pay close attention, reading between the lines. I would not be surprised to see either, or both on the field when Michigan opens up their season on September 2nd at the Big House in Ann Arbor, and that will be on NBC TV. I mean, how cool is that for West Bloomfield? We're definitely going to have Donovan on the field and other West Bloomfield players. It could be 3 or 4 players from West Bloomfield in that game on the 2nd.
Yeah, and it's great too because you're seeing this focus on our community from guys like Donovan Edwards, who, look, I'm going to put it out there right now, and it's not exactly a hot take. He could be on that Heisman watch list by the time we get a couple weeks into the season. Going to be their number 1 running back at the University of Michigan, even with Blake Corum coming back. And as far as Samaj Morgan, while he played mostly at quarterback last season with the injury to Rick Nance, he was also a prolific receiver in the times before Rick Nance's injury and after Rick Nance came back. 34 receptions, almost 600 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns, averaging about 17 yards per catch for the Lakers last season. He is that kind of guy that can make an immediate impact on your team in all 3 phases of the game.
All right, we only got a second or 2 more here before the segment ends. I'm going to throw it over to you to tell us about this big fair. The Oakland County Fair is going on right now.
Yeah, Oakland County Fair begins today. It began just a little while ago, 9 a.m. on Friday. It began. It runs all the way through next week, Friday, July 14th at the Oakland County Fairgrounds in Davisburg, Michigan. That's 12451 Andersonville Road in Davisburg. The hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily for admissions, but the fair and the fun goes on even beyond that. Just the last people getting in the gates is going to be 9 p.m. every single day from now until July 14th. Plenty of fun, plenty of events and other attractions at this fair. It's really a great time. You go to their website, oakfair.org. You can find all the different fun and events each and every day at the Oakland County Fair.
And Tyler, one of the real exciting things as you think about it, you know, these fairs are highly agricultural based, and you think of the makeup of our county, Oakland County, you know, from the southern part, it's very much of a suburban and urban environment. You get to northern Oakland County, you might as well be up in some small community, farming community in West Michigan or northern Michigan. So they get that. One of my favorite things at all of these county fairs all over the state, it's the figure 8 car race on Saturday night. Where the cars, you know, go around a track, and then there's the intersection right in the middle. It's always a big highlight in most of these community fairs. And I understand that there's going to be one of those at the Oakland County Fair too. So the animals, the fun, the rides for the kids, and even that figure 8 race, going to be a lot of fun this weekend in northern Oakland County.
Yeah, plenty of fun and a whole lot of different events and shows. You can see Canines in Flight is one of their events. That's dogs that are kind of doing like agility dog competitions. They got another one that, you know, for those that are horse racing fans, Racing Pigs, very similar format, also happening, including today at the Oakland County Fair. So again, oakfair.org for all the fun and information.
You know, we get a complete spectrum of fun here in Metro Detroit. You could be at the Dream Cruise watching these amazing cars, or at the Grand Prix, or the pig races up in this weekend up in northern Oakland County. So a full gamut of stuff. And that's really the beauty of what we do here on this show, is an opportunity to cover all the topics that we have. Appreciate all of our guests this morning, and, you know, just awesome. And a great job, of course, by our crew is working hard. The work is not done, but all the hard work by our crew. Kalman doing a great job at Master Control, at Jared, and also with all the technical stuff, doing a really amazing job. And of course, your fine work, Tyler. So I think we made it through episode 2 so far, right? I mean, there's more, but it seems like we're getting through this. What do you think?
Yeah, slowly building up those calluses and getting our footing for this show with 2 hosts, a little bit longer of a program, but still all that great coverage from Greater West Bloomfield and the Oakland County area here in Metro Detroit.
Hi, good morning. We are so happy that you are with us. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you very much for watching The Splash Live.
One in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
I'm Steve Eiserman of the Detroit Red Wings, and I think every child in Michigan deserves a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. Can we build a state where Children Trust Michigan isn't just a name, but something our kids believe? Please support Children Trust Michigan as the voice for children and families by visiting the website to learn more.
Hello, nose. My nose knows when somebody uses the bathroom. Mom, Polly didn't flush. Ooh, I smell cookies.
I smell an A+.
How could my nose be running when it stays on my face?
Our noses know if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Businesses and people, anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to the Splash Live.
Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, as we bring you the latest news and information from the greater West Bloomfield area and all throughout Oakland County. Each and every day throughout your work week, we are broadcasting live news and information wherever you consume your programming, whether it's live TV, live radio, on the internet, or a combination all throughout your busy mornings during the work week. Here's all the places you can find us each and every day. Of course, we're always on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15, and for your AT&T subscribers, as AT&T Channel 99 in their community, education, and government television channel guide. Just scroll down to wherever in our 4 communities you may be, Greater West Bloomfield and West Bloomfield Township, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, or Sylvan Lake, and you will be able to see Civic Center TV as well as WBTV, the West Bloomfield School District channel, both of which we're broadcasting on each and every day. You'll also find us every day broadcasting live online as well on civiccentertv.com, live in high definition. See us in full 1080 on our website every single morning, either on our homepage as you're scrolling through our schedule to mark down those times in your calendar for when you want to watch Civic Center TV programming later on in the day, or on our Watch Live page to watch us on the full screen as well. You can also find us live every morning on other parts of media, such as Facebook online on social media at Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook.com